Hey everyone, this is Real Estate Riches Podcast, and boy, is it going to be rich, full of the wealth and the tips and the tricks of all kinds of successful agents, because that's what you want to be, right? A business builder who has success in their business. Well, that's what we got going on here. And I'm going to have all kinds of agents, men, women, young or older, sharing all their stuff because there's technology, there's just how do you build your business? There's so many questions, right? So let's learn from some of the best. Gather your wealth and build your business. That's what this channel is all about. And I'm excited to bring it to you. I'm Kathy Byrnes and I'll be your host. And stay tuned. Let's get at it, right? Hey everybody, I'm Kathy Byrnes here on Real Estate Riches. And I am here today with Eain Williams out of Boston. And I'm so excited to interview him and hear his story and share some nuggets with you guys. Good morning. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Kathy.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. And we were talking before, and I was looking at your pictures there, how powerful they are. Tell about those 3 pictures back there.
Oh, so I took a trip with my 2 aunts, and we went to Memphis and Nashville. And we were in Memphis, and we came across a photographer who was with Dr. King, Charles Withers. He's a little bit controversial if you look him up, but Tina Turner is here. I mean, she's undeniable. She's a powerhouse. She has a very specific story that she rose from. And my father always used to play Tina Turner and Ike live at Carnegie Hall, one of my favorite albums ever. I mean, he played it as an album, not as a CD. So I keep her close, and she just passed away last year. Another photo here, Daddy, I Want to Be Free. I'm from Virginia, and most of my family is from South Carolina. And in South Carolina, you know, the South has a very specific history in the United States. So I like to keep that close to my heart. And here is Coretta Scott King after Dr. King was assassinated. In my hallway, I have him stepping out of the Lorraine Hotel, which is where he was assassinated. And they've turned it into a museum. So when I was with my 2 aunts, we went to the museum, very powerful. So I got these 6 photos in total, but I have these hanging in my living room. One photo you can't see is my mother to the left. My father actually took that photo. He was an amateur photographer, and which is very interesting because mostly in real estate, we use photography to lure people in. So I keep her photo here in my living room, and I have another one in my spare bedroom. And my dad took both of those photos. So
you surround yourself with meaningful memories.
Yes, for sure. I think it's very important. You know, we have to stay grounded in the business that we're in. It's a business of a lot of highs, a lot of lows, a lot of no's. So it's important to keep yourself surrounded with friends and family and people who trust you, who believe in you, who work with you. I mean, we haven't gotten into the conversation fully, but just in the last couple of days, I've built an almost 20-year career of referrals. I work the Brian Buffini system. I have a business coach to this day. We just spoke the other day. And it's a business where, like, you're riding low one moment and then a text can change your whole life. You know, so in the last couple of days, I had a text from a woman I went to college with, same class. And she wants me to help her sell her property in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And if you know anything about this area, Cambridge is the home of Harvard, and everything radiating from Harvard is expensive. You know, you have 3-bed, 2.5 baths that are $1 million to $2 million. So
nice text you got.
Exactly. So
well, tell us a little bit about how you got into real estate to begin with and that journey. Like for me, when you just said relationship business, that makes sense to me. The memories with the pictures, you're a relationship person. Honestly, real estate is a relationship business versus cold calling. Never wanted to do that. I'm a big believer in building the relationship. When you're getting started, though, that's a little tricky because maybe you don't have relationships in the beginning. Guy moved to a new state, didn't know anybody, and you've experienced moving.
Right.
So tell us that little story briefly, what your history is, how you got into real estate and how you built that.
So, two things. I got into real estate because my father and I bought a house. Well, he
Mm.
bought a house and I lived with him. So I was 12 years old. I lived with my father. He's a single parent. And I went on all the showings.
Mm.
You know, we would do the showings after school. We would do them on the weekends. So I went on all the showings. And when we finally found the house that we eventually bought, he talked with me and he said, "What should we offer on the house?" Now, this
Really?
is in 1992 in Newport News, Virginia. The house was probably on the market for $70,000. We
Mm-hmm.
ended up getting that house for $62,000, three
Nice.
beds, one bath, and a great neighborhood. And that's really where the real estate kind of got me, or
Hmm.
where it started. Where eventually it took me is I graduated from college in 2001. So I graduated in June of 2001. By September, we lived in a completely different world
Mm.
because September 11 happened, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in Boston, and those planes originated from Boston. So
Oh.
we lived in a very different world by the end of the year. And so I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I had a psychology degree
Hmm.
and a political science degree from a very great college, Williams College in Massachusetts. And I saw all these agents coming into the restaurant. And I worked at a restaurant and they were all selling real estate in a changing neighborhood. And I thought, well, I like real estate. This was probably the beginning of the HGTV era,
Mm-hmm.
you know, where everyone could view a home and purchase a home. And it all happened in 30 minutes, which we all know that is not the reality.
Right.
But that's kind of how I got into it. I was watching other agents build their career, and I had a great degree from an amazing college where my father had already always told me, son, it's not sometimes what you know, is who you know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So with that knowledge in that degree, and the college is about 2,000 people, and it's a very specific college in terms of alumni engagement.
Right.
I thought, well, there's all these alums around me. There's my base. I'm not from Boston, I'm from Virginia. And
Mm-hmm.
I just started building from there.
Oh,
You know,
brilliant.
kiss one baby, one smile at a time. And that's how the real estate career started.
Well, that's smart. So you worked your sphere
Hmm.
and you did it. How soon, early on, did you get that coach, Brian Buffini?
So I had a friend who worked the Buffini system,
Yes.
and she really brought me in. So I did self-paced coaching, which is like you do it on your own
Right.
for like 4 or 5 years. And then I moved up to an actual coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been with the coaching program for probably like 11, 12 years at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point, Eain, because a lot of people think I only had a coach once and I regret those decisions. But I also
Yeah.
started really, really broke, like really broke. Couldn't pay for the gas in the car. So I had to be creative as I could just to survive in the beginning.
Right. Right.
But having a coach, so I did what I could online, which online is a different story now. I mean, coaches give away a lot of free stuff before you sign up now. But my business partner, who I ended up having a business partner, she was doing Buffini coaching. And I liked, so she was kind of sharing all that with me as her business
Hmm.
partner. And I believed in the cards. I believed in building that relationship. And by the time we became partners, I was 2 years in the business and we were starting to make moves. But we did those handwritten cards forever and we stayed connected. We did the events. We followed the system of relationship building. I went on to utilizing send out cards instead of handwritten notes and really excelled with that. But I think what you're saying to us all here is that you see the purpose of relationship building. You followed a coach, a system. You did a business, not a hobby, and you were telling me that you're trying to get more balance in your life. You've recently lost your father, so you're
Hmm.
trying. in a very busy time in the market when you're trying to wrap your head around all of that and have some self time too, right?
Right.
And everybody deals with things like this. I had my mother, I had to go pick up my mother who had dementia from Georgia and bring her up to where I'm at in North Carolina. Just as my business part, I come back the day I brought my mother back, my partner says, I'm breaking up the partnership. I'm going another direction. I'm like, okay, where was their
Yeah.
time? You know what I mean? And this is a reality in real estate, wouldn't you say?
I mean, it's not only a reality in real estate, it's a reality in life. You
Yes,
know, just because you're going through could potentially a personal crisis or a high or a low, things don't stop. And one of the things that I think I struggle with, and a lot of people struggle with, is like, especially in a business like real estate, where it's relationship, it's people are depending on you. You
right.
know, I always say, I'm with people, before they find out they're pregnant. I'm with people before they're making decisions about the rest of their life.
Yes.
In a time where real estate is really under attack in a lot of senses, because I live in a market where real estate is very expensive.
Mhm.
And I think across the board in the nation, they're trying to figure out how to make real estate more affordable.
Right.
So one of the ways they make real estate more affordable is to attack the commission. And yeah, there are instances where I meet a client that I may not know, and I sell them a place first weekend. It's very rare,
Rare.
very rare. But a lot of times I'm with people for a year, two
Mhm.
years. Like, they
Yes.
contact me, we start
Mhm.
out looking at property, and then they realize that, especially like last year,
Yeah.
where the rates went from under 3 to 8. I mean, they almost triple in a year, and it stunted a lot of people.
Yes.
So, like, I always say that, I'm with people through the highs and the lows. And a
Mhm.
lot of what we do is just keeping them motivated to get
Mhm.
their dream,
Right.
right? Keeping them moving forward to get their dream. So,
How are you
one of
doing
the,
that? How are you specifically doing that? Like if you had somebody example, they're hot, they're cold, they're hot, they're cold. Do you drip on them? Do you have a CRM? What specific tools are you doing to make all that stay connected?
well, actually, I use a Buffini CRM and I use a Compass CRM and a little bit of a drip campaign. Mostly it's just trying to stay connected, whether it's every 2 weeks I reach out or whether it's once a month, because a year like last year, you're reaching out and people are like, stop.
Yeah,
I will let you know when I am back in the game.
right.
And as evidenced by this year, people who were just discouraged or just needed to take a beat to move through what was happening last year, they're coming back out of the hibernation. So
Yes,
I'm getting those text messages where, I mean, and I also utilize Instagram. I mean,
sure.
Instagram is probably one of the greatest tools that we have as agents to stay connected with people in a non real estatey way. So I
Can I
use
ask you,
that.
do you do
Sure.
much tech? Are you very techy? Like, do you know what ManyChat is?
I'm not very techy. The good thing is that Compass has a back system that allows you to kind of post through Instagram, run ads, that kind of thing. But really, where the Instagram works its magic is that people get to see. You don't fully have to say, I'm still in real estate. They get to see you still active in real estate,
Right.
and they will, sometimes they reach out and say, hey, what's going on? I see you're in my neighborhood, or,
Ah, so give
I
me give me an example of kind of the posts that you're doing on Instagram so that you can share your nuggets.
so I will share two things. I always try to share a new listing post. I mean, that lets people know you're active.
Hmm.
You know, I share, a lot of agents don't share price point. I share price point because people need to see, especially in a place like Boston, I work with a lot of different price ranges.
Mm-hmm.
I work with the 300, 400, all the way up to the $4 million price range.
Right.
I've shown $25 million properties. Have I
Mm-hmm.
sold a $25 million property? No, but I show it.
Yeah.
So I do it for that. I do it for that reason, because my philosophy surrounding real estate is that real estate is the American dream. It's the
Yeah.
best way to build wealth in America.
Right.
I live in an area where, like, the real estate, even when the country is doing badly, it's either homeostasis, just going the same, or it's rising. It's
Yeah.
mostly always rising,
That's
just
how it
because the
is here in
lack,
Charlotte.
yeah, mostly because there's just a lack of space.
Right.
And we are 200 years older than the country is.
Mm.
So a lot of the space has been already commandeered.
Right.
So they're building buildings, they're moving further and further out, north and south.
Right.
I might start with someone in the middle of Boston and then be 15 miles north by the time they purchase.
Because they're figuring it out. They can't afford where they're at, or they don't like it. They're like, right.
So when people ask me, what areas do you cover? I cover Boston and greater Boston,
Mm.
because I just never know where I'm
Right.
going to be. And then secondly, I always want people to know that it's not just a job for me.
Right.
Like I mentioned earlier, I believe in the American dream of owning a house, because that happened for my family specifically.
Yes.
And I remember us moving into that house and purchasing that house, and the feeling and the stability that gave my dad and I.
Yeah.
So I always try to come from that lens when I'm working with a client, whether it's a young family, a single person. We always hear the biggest sector of people moving forward in real estate is young women, purchasing, whether it's an investor. I always try to keep that understanding that they're purchasing for their future. It's
Right.
not a haphazard purpose. It's a very specific purpose that they're trying to build on. Actually, I don't do much commercial, but I met with a friend from college yesterday, and she works with B-Tone, which is like a Pilates studio that's here in Boston. And I said, I don't do much commercial, but I want to be with you on this journey. If I can help, if I can counsel, as a small business owner myself, I have a certain amount of information that I can impart.
Yeah.
I don't do much, but I have friends who have gotten into the business. I have a current friend, Shane, who's getting into the business. And one of the things
of commercial
of real estate.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, he's getting into the business of real estate. So a lot of it was like, where should I work? And I was like, well, when I got into real estate, no one talked to me about what kind of business I thought I wanted to have.
Right.
So I said, what do you want? Where do you want to be? Do you want to partner with another agent? And I talked to him about what that looked like.
Yeah.
Why that's beneficial. You want to take a vacation? Have a partner, because anytime you take a vacation is when you get busy. The moment you get on that plane, you get a text. Oh, I want to see this weekend.
It just happened to me.
Yeah.
I was going to Portugal for a convention that I've been working with these people for 3 months. And then they go in and they go out. Okay, we're going to wait. I said, you got to get your house on the market and under contract, because I can't write you it, because they want to take the funds from that one.
Of course.
Pay cash for the new one. And I said, stop sending me on these missions when you're not ready. You will not get the contract. And if you do, you're going to be in trouble. I don't want you to do that. Right. So now I said, I'm going away for 1 week. Here's my window. I need that week. And the day before, hey, Kath, we got the house under contract. We're ready to go forward now. And we need to do it right now. The day before. So now I call a fellow realtor and I said, I'm going to need some help. I'll pay you, because that's fair. I think if you have a partner and that's your deal where you agree in a partnership that one or the other. But I think in a lot of firms, like in our firm, we can just say, hey, Bill, hey, whoever, are you open to showing this person a house? If you write the contract, here's what I'll offer. If you're just showing some houses, here's what I'll offer. And if they say yes, great. copy me on everything so I can know what's going on. And mine ended up not doing anything till right when I got back, which I was extremely jet lagged. And now we're ready for me to go show them houses. And they're out of state buyers. So we're doing it FaceTime
Right.
over and over. So it was crazy. But what would you say? So you're advising your friend, and what did
And
he
the
end up
advice that I
doing?
gave him was this: 50 to 100 people, write their name, their address, their internet contact, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, and their phone number. And just build a list of 50 to 100 people.
Very good.
Where you can reach out to them, whether it's Christmas, whether it's New Year's. For a time, I was doing Father's and Mother's Day cards, and that really solidified with people. Any instance that you can be connected.
Yes.
Because in this day and age, we have the internet, we have our phone, we're texting, we're emailing, we're Instagramming, we're Facebook. A lot of people just want to feel connection.
Yes. And
genuine
connection.
Genuine connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that you'd make a great mentor in this industry because you have a heart for your business. You have a heart for your clients. And I think that's an important lesson for all agents to know. There's a lot of people who go the Mike Ferry path, make a fortune. They're making all those calls, but they're just kind of grinding through the business. It's a grind. It's not a path I would choose. I'm not knocking it. It's just different for me because some people are great at that. And one of my dearest friends, he did that and he made a fortune. But I said, what are you doing with all those people? Once you've done that, are you done with them? And he goes, well, I just make my calls. I go, you have a wealth of people that you've helped. Why don't you nurture them? I mean, there's residual income there because of the residual opportunity. And
right.
If they were nurtured, but he never nurtured them all those years.
Yeah. I mean, that's leaving money on the table. You and I both know that. And like you said, not knocking it, but it's just not the way I choose to run my business.
Right.
Like, it's a connections business.
I believe it.
And it's oftentimes, like I said, I'm from Virginia, so I have a Southern heart. And you never know the power of a hi.
Yes.
How you doing? You know what my dad always taught me, you never walk into a room where there are people without saying hello.
Of course. So
the power of just saying hi, I think that you never know what someone else is going through.
Right.
And the power of a hi. So I have a dog. So when I took my real estate course, you can take the course in a weekend, you can do all these things. I took it through the Center for Adult Education. So it was a 6-week course, and I took it with a man who owned his own real estate business. So not only did I get riparian rights, which would never ever have to learn about that ever again, but I got some knowledge about how to build a business.
Yeah.
Now, he said, have children or get a dog, is what he said. I have a dog. I just went to the dog park last week and I met a young woman. Our dogs are playing. And I just started asking her, like, how long have you lived in the area? Like, what are your favorite restaurants in the area? Like, can we exchange Instagrams? It's not like asking for someone's phone number. Right. It's very different now. You can exchange, socials.
Yes, that's a valid point right there.
We have a dog. I said, well, I'd love to get together with you. It's just a matter of, and I'm in my 40s. And I'm in a space where a lot of my contemporaries, they have kids. Sure. They have kids in 5th, 6th, 7th grade, some high schoolers.
Yeah.
And it can be hard making a connection because those people are super busy. Yeah. So I always tell myself, if you get invited for dinner, you go to their house at 5 p.m. and you have dinner with them and their kids.
Yeah.
A free meal and some hang time, right? Yeah. So it's just about, I think, choosing where you want to make your connections.
Yeah.
What's important to you, like you said in your business. Yeah, everyone wants to make a ton of money, But how do you get there?
Right.
What's your path?
Mm-hmm.
Is your path a one filled with friendship and love and connection? Is
Mm-hmm.
your path just filled with cold calling?
Yeah.
That's not for me.
Me either.
You know,
Yes.
I really believe in, I'm an only child. So friends have always been like family to me,
Sure.
always since I can remember. So it's just about how I want to build my business, how I want to stay connected to people. We're in a connections business. How you get people to trust you to spend $2 million with you.
Right.
I
What do
think in the
you?
beginning, it was very hard for me to speak up and share my opinion because you never want to say something that's going to turn them off. But then as I've been in the business for a long time, you understand that the reason why they are working with you is because they trust you.
Yes.
They, in some instances, they love you. They value your opinion. So to be
Value.
quiet is not giving them your full service.
Ballot. There's another nugget right there. What are you doing for the whole NAR preparation so that you have a buyer's presentation, or have you always had one?
Well, I've always had a buyer's presentation. I never had them sign the buyer agreement. So
We have that in our state.
yeah. So we have it here, and some agents utilize it, but I think a lot of agents don't utilize it. But I've always said in the beginning, this is where date is a dating period. If you don't want to work with me, that's fine. But I want you to experience what the working relationship
Oh,
is.
we can't do that anymore. You have to have that signed before you show a
Yeah,
house. So,
yeah,
so that preparing for that, that's what a lot of agents, what's concerning me is that they're not preparing for this, and they're going to have not filled out that form. They're going to get to the closing table and
and
realize
have no money.
there's no paycheck for them. And
Yeah.
so it's critical. And that's another reason I'm bringing that up in these different podcasts, because I want them to know that you really need a presentation, a buyer's presentation that explains everything that you basically do, because the public does not know what is entailed from beginning to end. Just getting you a house is a lot of work, and there are so many steps, and it does take skill. It does take negotiations. It does take history, and you need mentorship if you're newer, somebody teaching you the ropes. And you also need to understand your forms. Even if you did it like I'm with EXP, we have a 1 day form. So, meaning that if you called me up off a sign call and said, I want to go see that house, I'm going to explain to you everything that I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to explain what my commission is. And my commission could be different than what they're offering at that house, because we don't know. But whatever it is that I've negotiated, if it's less than what they're offering, I don't get the difference. I get what I've
Right.
negotiated. A lot of
Right.
agents don't understand this. So I'm trying to teach them that you got to have that all prepared, and you need to have it prepared for different personality styles too, because you get that driver person, just give me the bottom line, tell me everything.
Right.
Okay, fine. What do I sign? Okay, I'll agree that price. Blah, blah, blah. Then you've got your engineer style. They need all the details. So I got to have a presentation that's going to really cover it and prove my worth, especially if you just met me, right? So I'm really concerned that agents are not paying attention to this, because this is happening, right away here. And all
What
our
I,
forms are changing in July.
what I always tell people off this from jump is that everything was always negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's not, everything was always negotiable. I always start with that because that is the crux of the whole lawsuit, is
Right.
that people felt like things weren't negotiable.
Right.
Right. So I always start there. And I think being in the business for a while, we were taught to move in silence. Like, don't tell the client what a horrible agent that other agent is, or the attorney, because you're trying to shield them and make this experience smooth. And I still want to do that, but I also need them to know that I'm answering emails sometimes at 10 o'clock at night.
Yes.
Like, I have a little 1 bedroom in Newton that I've been working with these clients for years. This is our technically our fourth transaction.
Wow.
And it's a woman that I went to college with. And she's one of the first weddings I ever went to in my life. I think the first couple of years out of college, right? And we got some bad news about an assessment, so it's like you have to be on your feet when you're doing these transactions because there's a lot of stuff that you have no control over, right?
Right.
So I went to a movie screening last night. I'm texting. I hate to do it, but I'm texting in the movie. Hey, I'm at a movie. Can we talk afterwards? I'm getting out at 9:30. I'm making phone calls because a lot of what we do is engaging the other side, keeping them interested, keeping them feeling comfortable, keeping your own clients moving forward. I mean, through these last 4 or 5 years, especially during the pandemic, when there was a lot of movement, part of what I had to do was like, okay, we didn't get that property. Got to pick them up and keep them moving forward.
Right.
So a lot of what we're doing is it's a little bit of therapy. It's a lot of positivity. Even sometimes when you don't feel so positive about the state of things, it's a lot of counseling about how can we make your offer stronger.
Right.
I'm working with a couple right now where like, I hate to say to them, well, you might have to drop your home inspection contingency. Because in a pool of 5 to 10 offers, when one person does it, it becomes the expectation.
Yes. Boy, this has been great. You have been full of lots of nuggets. I appreciate it so much. And
thank you for having me.
Yes, it turned out great, don't you think?
I think it did. Thank
you so much. So thanks for joining me on this episode of Real Estate Riches. Wasn't that great? I'm sure you got a nugget or two. I know I did. So if you liked it, please subscribe below, share it with everybody, make some comments. We really find that invaluable. And if you're thinking that you would love to talk about this a little bit more, let's schedule a business strategy call. I'll have the link below. And let's see if we can't mastermind together and see if we can empower each other. That would be great. So until next time, signing off. Hope to see you on the next one.